In this video, we will review AWS spot instances. Spot instances are a great way to save money. Amazon says that you can save up to 90% off the on-demand price. Let's take a look at some of the different sizes of EC2 instances and compare the prices of spot versus on-demand instances. I'll briefly review the reasons why you may want to go with a certain instance type. Let's pick a C59X Large, 90 vCPUs and 192 gig of RAM, a big boy. What do you think the price will be? At this moment, it is about $1.55 an hour. Not bad. Now let's pick a T2.2 large. And it can get a little annoying that we keep getting this pop-up if we are sure that we want to change the instance type. Anyway, we see that it is about 11 cents. We can go to this page to see current on-demand prices and compare the savings. And here we could see the purpose of each type of instance as well. T2 or T3 is just general purpose. R is for memory intensive applications. C is for compute intensive. In other words, your application needs a lot of processing power. G and P are for graphics intensive applications. At the moment, we see that a T2.2X Large is roughly 37 cents, and a spot instance is about 11 cents per hour. Now let's take a look at something a little bigger. A side note to keep in mind is that the larger the instance, the better the network performance. A smaller C5 instance has up to 10 gigabit of network throughput, but a C59X Large has 10 gigabit throughput. It's not up to. And let's take a look at the spot price for this. So the spot price for this would be roughly 58 cents versus $1.53 per hour. It's quite a bit of savings. Now let's pick something with even more power. A C524X Large is $4.08 per hour. But the spot instance price is only $1.54 per hour. And now let's launch a spot instance. Let's complete the whole process and we will see how much it will be for us for this price. Let's get something a little bit bigger than T2 Micro.
Please take a moment and hit that subscribe button.
And we'll see what we'll set our maximum price. We'll match it so that it will launch successfully. And we do all the standard configuration. And we'll launch this instance. And what we are looking for is what happens when you request a spot instance and you stop it. What happens when you terminate it? What happens with your request, that spot instance request? As we could see, it is active. It shows our maximum price of 3 cents per hour. So now let's go here and we will terminate this instance. I'll launch another instance, and I'll pick a different instance type so we can see how things change depending on the requests I make. This time I'll choose a T2X Large. Please pay attention to this and the previous instance type, as it will become very important in a few minutes. I will put in a maximum price a little bit higher than the current price to ensure that my instance is launched. It's similar to bidding on eBay, but this is where the fun part starts. Persistent requests. What is a persistent request? It's easier to understand if you know what happens with the normal spot instance. Normally, if your spot instance bid does not meet the current bid price, AWS will automatically terminate your instance. Persistent request allows AWS to keep requesting the instance on our behalf after it gets terminated. Once the bid price is met, AWS will automatically launch a new EC2 instance for us. When we select persistent requests, we also get new options. In the past, if your spot instance bid was no longer high enough, AWS would automatically terminate your instance. AWS would keep an eye out, so to speak, and request another instance later on. Now you could choose what happens with the instance if the capacity is no longer available at the price you specified. Instead of terminating the instance, we can request to stop the instance until our bid price is met. A stop instance maintains all files, applications, and configuration settings. Now that we have our EC2 running, let's also take a look at our spot request. As you can see, our previous spot request is now marked as closed. Our new spot request is active. It's good to notice these differences because a regular spot request is a one-time use request. Once you terminate the EC2, it is no longer available. What happens when you terminate an instance when a spot request is persistent? Let's find out. I'll terminate this instance. Let's keep refreshing and refreshing and refreshing, and voila! If you terminate the instance, another one will be created. If you terminate this new instance, the spot instance request will keep requesting an instance on your behalf. You have to be very careful with this because your AWS bill will skyrocket if you forget. Basically, these EC2s will keep running forever as long as your maximum target price is met. What happens if we stop this instance? Well, of course, it enters a stopped state. But will it create a new instance? No. And what happens to the spot request? Why doesn't it create another instance? The spot request will go into a disabled state. It has the intelligence to know that we stopped it, and it will not attempt to create a new instance. Now, how cool is that? What happens if I start the instance? Let's find out. Once the EC2 is running, we will see that the spot request state changes to active. Let's say I want to keep this instance, but I no longer want it to automatically create instances. Could I just cancel the spot request and keep my instance? Let's find out. I will cancel the spot request. Now let's see what happens to my EC2. Do you see the little check mark by terminate instance? With this check, we now see that our EC2 instance is terminated. I will create a new EC2 spot instance in the background so that we can replay this, but this time we won't put that check mark. I have selected a T.2X Large just so that we can track the differences of our actions. Let's cancel the spot instance and deselect terminated instance. What do you think will happen? Let's find out. When I try to restart the EC2, I get an error message and it will not restart. There are no other options, and there are no options to restart the spot request. My only option is to terminate. If you have learned something new, please give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate your support. Maybe it's because the EC2 was stopped. I'll launch a new EC2 spot instance, and I'll select again a different instance type so that we can clearly distinguish it from previous EC2s. This time, I selected a T3 Large. I will cancel the spot request without selecting to terminate the instance. What do you think will happen now? Let's find out. Awesome! My instance is still running. And I refreshed just in case it was thinking in the background. Sometimes these processes in AWS take a little bit of time. But no, it stays running. But when I try to stop it, I get an error message. My only option, once again, is to terminate it. As we can see, the spot request is very important. The order of events is very important as well. A nice feature in the AWS console on the spot request page is the savings summary. It clearly shows you the savings. For this tutorial, I created 4 instances, and instead of paying 73 cents, which is the regular on-demand price, I will only pay 22 cents. But that's if I let it run for a whole hour, all the instances. It also breaks down the savings of each instance. And like I mentioned before, Linux instances have a per second billing. The pricing history button gives us historical pricing of spot instances. It's a great tool to use if you want to bid low, but the current price is high. You might find that a certain day of the week is generally less expensive than others. And this is good if your application needs are flexible and you can go without doing something today, but know that tomorrow the spot instance price will be less expensive. Here is my January 2021 bill. We are mid-month, and you could see that I have spent money on a few instances. Like I said, Linux instances are billed by the second, but Windows instances are billed in complete hours. That's why when you see your bill, you will notice that your Linux instances will have something like .33 or 1.03, meaning 1 hour and 3 minutes. But when you look at the Windows, even if you run it for 2 minutes, you will be billed for 1 hour. You have to be mindful of that and do like I do and plan to run any Windows processes when you have them all ready. We don't want to waste or pay for a full hour. There are so many options that you will definitely have to play around with spot instances and find how things work together. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and if you have learned something, please like and subscribe.